My name's Sam,
And my name is Whitley Grace.
and we're in 7th grade at Homewood-1.
And this is our podcast, Hello Homewood.
Welcome to the podcast where middle schoolers share what's really happening in our community from our perspective. Talking about school events, local heroes, cool places to visit, and the changes we see every day in Homewood. Something exciting, inspiring, or just important we're here to keep you in the loop with honest voices and fresh ideas. This is our community. Let's explore it.
Before we get started, shout out to our sponsor, Immediate. Their Earned Wage Access benefit gives employees access to their pay when they need it most. You can learn more at joinimmediate.com. Thanks, Immediate.
Okay, let's get started with some calendar updates. Make sure to mark your calendar for the upcoming football games on Thursday the 9th, Wednesday the 15th, and Thursday the 16th. For more information, you can check the Homewood Athletics website.
Let's say a quick thanks to our parents for making this podcast possible. Bernard, Stephanie, Caitlin, Matt, and Israel.
Okay, now we're going to get started with the questions of this episode. What does being a leader mean to you?
What a leader really means to me is I know this is thrown around pretty loosely, but being a good person and being very punctual and working with diligence and integrity.
Sometimes that's just there's a difference between being a leader and being bossy, and sometimes I think people get those mistaken.
I think our community does a really good job of showing leadership in tough situations, but I completely agree with what you said. But that is not just what being a leader means.
Yeah, the characteristics of a leader.
Yeah.
A commercial one. Going back to something you said earlier, being a good person, I think to be a leader, you also do have to be a good person, but what do you think that means?
And this is also thrown around very loosely, but not being mean and being kind. Whether you like somebody or not, you are still kind and you still make an effort you don't just avoid them. You are constantly putting it.
I agree with that. Being the leader, sometimes you do have to talk to people that you don't particularly like or you don't want to talk to, and you're not just going to be able to around things that you don't want. You're going to have to things that you don't want. That's even for people that aren't considered leaders. You're going to have to do stuff that you don't want and do it well. And being the leader means people look up to you. So when people look up to you, if they see that you're just being mean to people, that's what they're gonna do, and life's not gonna be good.
Yes, I completely agree. I think our community is set up for, but not only kids, adults as well, to succeed in being a leader. Good qualities in leadership, yeah.
I feel like leaders in schools, I think that a lot of times people, going back to what I said at the very beginning, a lot of times people think that just because you stand up and you're loud and you take charge of things, you're a leader. But a leader, the best leader in the room could also be the one that's quiet in the corner, just reading their book and doing their work. They could also be the best leader because they're leading by example, not necessarily leading by their well, I mean, they are leading by their actions, but they're not doing it in a loud way, trying to draw everyone's attention, being the right thing, even when it's not.
Yeah. I completely agree. That's a really good point to make too. I think that you don't always notice the quieter kids, but like you said, they can be leaders. They're as capable as being leaders as the last.
And I think sometimes people, like you said, they overlook the people that are not being loud and standing out, but they definitely deserve more, not necessarily attention, but attention. I don't know, they should be recognized more. And normally, well, not normally, but the quieter kids that typically they don't get recognized. They don't get recognized as much, and also sometimes they're the smarter kids. They're the leaders. They're the people that are nice. They're
You're also not. You're saying. You're also saying they don't always have to be quiet to be smart. That's not
still on its own, but just because that kid doesn't get noticed doesn't mean that maybe they don't have much knowledge as you think.
Right.
They could be smart, very nice. Just because they don't have as much friends as you doesn't mean.
Going off of that, I think if you were saying you don't really know what people are going through, and so maybe they are the quiet kids, but you don't know why.
I think teachers and, well, not necessarily teachers, counselors, the counselors in Homewood do a good job of getting to know each child and like
Yes.
their families, because in Homewood, I'm not going to say it's like a small town, but like
It's not a super big one.
everyone knows, like everyone has a connection to someone that knows someone else. So like just because you don't know someone, you probably have a friend through a friend. And I think that everybody's really good. Well, not everybody. I think the counselors are really good at noticing the small things. And that kind of leads into the next point, which is, what is one small thing in the community that makes a big difference?
Just like you were saying, like making it to get to know somebody. And like, it's not really just the counselors. It's whether you have a new neighbor or there's a new kid in your class, or somebody comes and like an intern comes to work with you, or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's very good. But yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it is good to be kind to everyone. Like you were saying, like to get to know everyone and to like not just learn their name, but like start with that, but not just know their name, and also learn like most people have a kid that's in Homewood or a kid that's gone through the Homewood system, and ask them about them. People like to talk about themselves. So like if you want to start a conversation, ask them a question about themselves, like and get to know them.
I mean, I think it's a really valuable thing if you're Publix and you run into somebody and you make an effort to say their name. I think that means a lot more than just saying, hey. Like,
yeah. And it's going to be like, you're not going to know everyone's name. Try. My mom's not going to like this, but she's not very good with names. But she does make an effort to try, like, ask your name, and she'll be very open with this. She's going to be like, with names, it's going to take me like 4 times to meet you, but I promise I am trying. I'm going to learn your name.
I'm going to throw my mom out there too. She's not very good with names either. She'll be like, Whitley Grace, who was that? This is like the same. I think it's really easy to forget names. If it's where you are making an effort, then that's what I mean.
I feel like we've been talking about people in the community. There's a lot of locally owned businesses, so you might not even know, but somebody that you know, or their parents, or like their friend might own a business or something. Small comments they mean a lot. For example, a local ice cream shop in Homewood. Like, if you were to just say, like, oh, I had neighbors last night, and it was really good, you never know who might hear that.
Yeah.
They might tell, and, like, you might not ever know, like, making that comment could get them a new customer, or, like, they get to know the family more.
And, I mean, a new customer means a lot to people, too.
Especially in a town like Homewood, like, a lot of the times it's Homewood High School students working at like neighbors and other shops like that, and that's making connections with Homewood families. And once you get older, making connections is really important.
Like Homewood High School kids, I think it is really important to make connections with kids that are older than you. You never know what that will lead for you, and I think that will take you a long way as well.
And like not just with peers and high school students to make connections, also your teachers, like especially
Absolutely.
I'm targeting this more towards middle schoolers. I think that middle school students think, oh, middle school doesn't matter. When I get to high school, I'll like try and then I'll make good grades in high school. But it really does start in middle school. Just because colleges might not check your middle school grades, you still want to try in middle school, because like if you don't try in middle school and you go to high school and you know nothing, then you're nowhere. And also making connections with your teachers. because you never know when you need someone to write you a letter of recommendation, but you've been disrespectful to them all year and you haven't tried in their class. They're not going to do that for you. And that's something that's really important, especially when you get into high school.
Also, going off of what you said, like, curriculum is repeated. I'm just going to say this, especially in middle school. The 7th grade material is also repeated in 9th and 11th. The 8th grade, I think, is repeated in 12th and 10th.
It's at a higher level, but if you didn't try or you didn't learn the initial,
yeah, it's really like a base.
Yeah, and if you don't, they're going to expect you to know how to do that. When you get to high school, they're going to expect you to know how to do certain things from middle school. And if you didn't learn that or you weren't paying attention, you're not going to do very well, and you're not going to make those connections or make those grades that you want or
great. I think that getting good study habits, and this is not targeted towards middle school or elementary school or high school, college even, at all, because you can always use study. Whether you're 45 or 30, you have a big project, finding ways that you work best and studying, I think, are very important.
I really do agree with that. And I also think that goes for people too. Like when you get into upper grades, when you start doing projects and other things that require group work or partner work, you want to know who you work best with, and not just when your teacher says, oh, pick a part, that you don't just go to your best friend.
Right.
And you go to someone that you work well with. If you do work well with your friend, maybe try to branch out and work with someone that you wouldn't typically work with.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and I think teachers can be really inspiring sometimes, which leads into the minute to win it. For the minute to win it, it's going to be more like 30 seconds to win it, but that's okay. So you're going to name 5 people in Homewood that inspire you. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds and just name 5 if you can.
Okay. A lot of my teachers, I think they really set like a really good example. In 15 seconds. Some of my friends, my parents, they set a really good example. My 7th grade counselor and
Good job. You finished.
This was hard.
Starting off the second half of questions, describe each other in 3 words. What would they be?
So we're going to go back and forth. I'm going to name one and she's going to name 1 word until we both get to 3. I think my first word for you is confident.
That's okay. This is like really generic, but kind. I mean, nice.
I think you're also very successful. I just said.
I would say this is also very generic, but that's smart. Like, you're really smart. I don't think you realize.
Thank you. But I think you're a very diligent worker. Whether you believe it or not, you can get things done very quickly.
Okay, my last word is focused, because I feel like you always have stories like how there was a lot going on, but you never come in without your work done, and you're always working even when the classroom is loud or when things are going on. You're always focused and working.
You could also say the same for you. You are a very focused person, and that does go back to when I said you're a very diligent worker. You said, no matter what the situation is.
Thank you. When I said you were kind, I've never really seen you be mean to someone, and that's really hard to do. Because especially in middle school, when you have a lot of emotions going on, there's a lot of things, you always keep the peace and you're nice to everyone, and you just get good vibes.
Thank you. Going back to how I said a very confident person, you're very passionate about what you feel, and you can persuade people very easily. You are a very smart person. You can tell when people don't know what they're talking about.
I'm passionate about it.
you are a very passionate person and you can put that into a conversation very easily. Um, and you can like that could also put that into like standing up for people and stuff like that.
Question is, what's your go-to song if you want to dance or feel better? I would say I listen to a lot of different types of music,
agree.
and I don't know if I have like one song that's like my go-to. Normally, I would just tell Alexa to play music because it has all my music. But I would say, like,
Okay.
I would say, well, this isn't really like if I'm having a bad day. This is just like all the time. This is really weird for a middle schooler, but this is not normal for middle schoolers. But I love Hamilton.
I agree.
So I'm listening to Hamilton and know all the words. So yeah. Another thing I would listen to is Forrest Frank. He is just really like inspirational. He has a large, I'm not gonna say variety. He has a lot of options for songs. I think that's good because if you're not feeling one song, he has lots of options for more. I've actually been to one of his shows, his tours in Birmingham, and it was really fun. He's a good performer. He has a big audience, and I would say most people.
He's a very welcoming person. Me and Savannah have very similar music choices. I think I would also listen to Forrest Frank. I think he has, like she said, a lot of inspirational stuff. I was also at his concert. And what she said, I think almost 85% of people, if you went up to them and asked them who Forrest Frank was, within home couldn't tell you.
Description. Yes. Another thing I like about Forrest Frank is he's family friendly. So if you like, there's not going to be any cursing in his music. There's not going to be any like bad or inappropriate ideas. You can listen to it with your second grader or your 10th grader, and it's something your whole family can enjoy.
Right. We both have little siblings, and they does too. They both really enjoy Forrest Frank. And I think it is engaging for adults as well. I know my stepdad is Forrest Frank and parents like Forrest Frank. And yeah, he's a very family friendly.
It's just a good thing like that you can play on the way to school, or if you don't know what to listen to, you can listen to Forrest Frank.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and like I said before, there's so many options that if you want to change the song, there's plenty of options.
Right. And I think it, like what you said with like going to school, he sets a really good vibe. I also like to listen to Josiah Queen, who is a very similar person to Forrest Frank. Like pretty much everything we were saying about Forrest Frank.
I never been to one of his concerts, but I'm sure he's a good performer as well.
Yes.
He is very popular, but I don't know if he's as popular as Forrest Frank. I think his songs are popular, but I don't know if people know that they're by Josiah Queen. And I feel like they would know, like if you played a song, they would be able to sing along. But I don't know if you asked them who's Josiah Queen, I don't know if they would be as like, I don't know if that would come to their brain as fast as
which isn't a bad thing. Always like an unknown artist is always a good thing. You can never go wrong with that. There's always room to grow in popularity.
Yeah, and I think everybody started as not as well known. And even Forrest Frank, he wasn't really super well known until last year. And it's played at a lot of camps and school events and in the car and by families, and lots of people know who he is now. And I think that's for many reasons, but the main one obviously being that he makes enjoyable music.
I sure hear that. Yeah. I think another this isn't an artist, but I am a very big Christmas person. If you know me personally, like, there's a lot of controversy about October 1st to December 26th. That is for me, at least. I know it's not for other people. That's fine. But I can listen to any sort of Christmas music, and it is the biggest pick-me-up there is for me.
Enjoy Christmas music around the holidays. But another one that I thought of is Tori Kelly. Yeah, she did a song with Forrest Frank, It was really good. It was called Miracle Worker. She's also an artist, and she's really good. I like her music.
She also did a song with Need to Breathe.
If very good artist. She has some really good lyrics,
Yeah.
especially for middle to high school level.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, for the younger kids listening, she's also in Sing 2 and Sing 1.
she does gospel songs with some artists. Some of her top hits are a lot of sing songs.
Yes.
One of my personal favorites, I think it's old though. I like funny.
I really like her song with Need to Breathe. Oh, I've got a story. It is also most of her music is about gospel related things.
A lot of her music is pretty old though.
Yeah.
Well, by pretty old, like
Which
10
is totally
years.
fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I think she has some songs from like 5-ish years ago. She's a spirit.
Just a fist.
Tori Kelly is in all the Sing productions. She's Mina, the elephant in the movie. Yeah. No, one of we normally wouldn't do a fifth question, but today, since the third question didn't last as long as we thought, we're gonna add another question, and we're gonna talk about what is your dream job and why.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. My dream job for now is a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer because, well, a lot of reasons. One, my mom's a lawyer, and two, it helps people.
Yeah.
And you get to know people, and I feel like I'm a social person, and getting to know people is good.
Yeah. I think any sort of surgeon would be fun. Sort of surgeon would be fun, or really any job that just works closely with people. I'm a very big people person, and I work just with. And actually, a lawyer has been considered.
And I feel like to be a lawyer is because it truly makes a difference in people's lives, and hopefully you won't need a lawyer in your lifetime, but definitely people do, and I do think that innocent people do deserve a good lawyer, and that's sometimes what makes innocent people not get in lots of trouble.
I agree.
And I think that's something that really helps people. There's a lot of different types of lawyers, so
Yeah.
just finding whatever's right, I feel like, would be fun, and just getting to go based off of your personality and your strengths and what you're good at.
Yeah. I think the reasons, there are many, but some of the reasons why I want to be some sort of surgeon, they have the opportunity to improve patients by performing surgeries, but a pain, and so they can be life-saving. They can also make significant impacts to people who are struggling.
And I think you could also, through both jobs, get to know people, and because when you're performing surgeries, like, you want to make a connection with them. You don't want to just go and you want to make a connection with them.
And I think, like, back to what we were talking about making those small connections and, like, how much that matters.
And that really does matter, especially a community like Homewood.
Yeah.
Also, another reason why I would want to be a lawyer is because I like to read and write. And lawyers do a lot of reading and writing.
Yet again, another reason why I would want to be some sort of surgeon. You really get to see the positive impact on your patients, and that can be incredibly rewarding. You also have the privilege of witnessing firsthand the restoration of health and well-being and happiness.
I totally do. So that's the last of our questions. I think we're going to wrap it up with this to get new episodes. Make sure to tune in on Spotify and YouTube every other Friday to get new episodes.
If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, please email us at hellohomewoodpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on Hello Homewood, where every voice matters and community comes first. See you next time.